Good, Sam.
Okay.
We're gonna do one thing here.
Yeah.
This is what we've been waiting for.
Yeah.
This is our map. This is as it stands now, and we are going to clear the map. It's going to go gray, and when we start getting results in, we'll start coloring the map.
Okay.
This is my magic trick.
Okay, here we go. Hundreds of thousands of ballots have been cast. Careful thought put into who you want to form government and why. Our election special starts in less than 2 minutes, but first we ask the question, what do you want in a government? Here's the Buffalo Boys Drum Group in Regina with their answer.
I want a government that.
I want a government that.
I want a government that respects my culture.
Creates jobs.
Respects treaties.
Lowers taxes. I want a government that
Is kind.
helps me graduate, cares about me.
I want a government that respects the land.
Cares about everyone.
Empowers me to grow.
Who will keep our economy strong and our future bright?
It's time for change. No healthcare worker in Saskatchewan is okay right now.
I want to hear that they value education.
I'm not asking to live in luxury, but I would like to live.
Saskatchewan is the most affordable place in Canada to live.
We're in last place in education and healthcare and the cost of living because Scott Moe and the Sask Party put us there.
The polls have officially closed. The counting is about to begin, and the anticipation builds for what promises to be an exciting night. We are live from the Provincial Archives in Regina. Welcome to our viewers across the country on CBC News Network, on CBC Gem, YouTube, and our listeners on CBC Radio. Good evening, I'm Sam McKeag. You have cast your votes, and tonight we'll see what kind of government the people of Saskatchewan have chosen. Will Scott Moe win another majority, taking his Saskatchewan Party to its 5th consecutive victory? If he does, it will be something that's not been done since Tommy Douglas governed with the CCF. But to do so, Moe will have to fend off the NDP. Carla Beck is looking to win big in the cities and to make a significant gain elsewhere. And while most eyes are on the two main parties, there are in fact 7 parties. So vote splitting could come into play. Now, if you're watching on TV or streaming online, I'd like to draw your attention to the bottom of your screen. That's the seat count. Think of it as a scoreboard. That's where you can see the results play out in real time. And all 61 constituencies will rotate. So every 7 minutes, you'll see your riding. And for those listening on the radio, we'll continue to bring you live updates on those numbers all night long. Our team is standing by on the ground to bring us the latest. Sam Sampson is at Saskatchewan Party headquarters in Saskatoon. Dan Zakreski is in Shellbrook at Scott Moe's home riding. Alexander Kwan is at NDP headquarters in Regina, and Ethan Williams is outside a polling station where the ballots are going to be counted shortly. And we will come back to them in just a moment. But first, Joining me, my partner in crime for the evening, our provincial affairs reporter, Adam Hunter. Now, the NDP seems to be gaining some momentum through the last couple weeks of this campaign, but to oust the Saskatchewan Party is a real steep hill to climb for Carla Beck and her team. Set the scene for us.
Yeah, it's a pretty narrow path for the NDP to form government. We're going to set the numbers for you. The magic number tonight is 31. That's what's needed for a majority. At last vote, the Saskatchewan Party had 47 seats, the NDP 14. Now, this does not count anyone who was kicked out or left caucus. So what does it all mean? Well, the Saskatchewan Party can lose 16 seats and still hold on to power. Well, the NDP, Sam, they need to gain 17 seats, while of course holding on to their 14 if they want to get to that magic number of 31. And I want to show our viewers and our listeners what they have to do in order to flip some of these seats. And they got a difficult road ahead, but they have to flip some incumbent seats for the Saskatchewan Party, and they have to knock off some cabinet ministers. In Saskatoon, we're going to start. This is Bronwyn Eyre, the Justice Minister. Now, what's interesting about this seat in Saskatoon, Stonebridge, 4,500 vote mark. We've seen him tonight already.
Former Speaker, perhaps, if you need a jogged memory.
Former Speaker, and he lost his nomination in December to Kim Gardner. There was some bad blood there, obviously. And Randy Weeks has since spoken out against the Saskatchewan Party government very publicly, endorsing Carla Beck. But here, an early lead and a healthy lead for the Saskatchewan Party. In Moosomin-Montmart, we moved now to the eastern half of the province. Kevin Weedmark, he's the publisher and owner of the Moosomin World Spectator, one of the oldest, longest serving newspapers in Saskatchewan. He won the nomination, 59-vote lead over Chris Ball with 5 of 35 polls reporting. So early on, Stephen Bonk was the former MLA here. He won the Conservative Party nomination. Laurie Carr with a 93-vote lead in Estevan Big Money. This would be also considered very safe Saskatchewan Party territory. Phil Zajak's on the board here. I want to draw your attention to him. He is the Buffalo Party leader. 4 years ago, the Buffalo Party finished second in Estevan. It was one of those 4 constituencies where they came a surprising second. And we have very early on, this is in Saskatchewan Rivers, Bernard Lalonde with a 2-vote lead over Eric Schmalz, the Saskatchewan Party. Doug Racine of the NDP with 7. Now, interestingly enough, there's one person we don't see on the board here early. It's Nadine Wilson, who's running in Saskatchewan Rivers. She is the former leader of the Saskatchewan United Party, now trying to win her seat back. She's the incumbent. That's why we don't see a star on this screen here. And she is in probably what's going to be a 3-way race. Right now it's a 3-way race that she's not in, but we expect to see her on the board at some point. Saskatchewan Rivers is one to watch tonight, and that's why.
Your map's getting colored in.
And the map just turned orange there. How about this?
We have our first elect.
Jinx.
It is a big night for Scott Moe, a really big night for Scott Moe. This is his second election as leader of the Saskatchewan Party, and not really a surprise that he would do well in his own riding.
Yeah, Scott Moe, second win, as you mentioned, as the leader of the Saskatchewan Party, but also he won in 2011. He won a contested nomination against Dennis Allchurch, who was a long-term Saskatchewan Party MLA, so we won that.
Let's go to Eric Grenier to take a look. We are still waiting on that riding, among others. How are things looking as you analyze all of this data as it's coming in?
Yeah, we're just waiting on more of those votes to come in before we can make that final call. But we wanted to take a look at where things have been shifting in Saskatoon, because we'd already looked at how Regina went hard for the NDP. The NDP swept the city. Saskatoon, the NDP is also doing very well. They're up about 11 points since the last election. They're at 56% of the vote. The Sask Party is down 11 points to 40%, actually outperforming a little bit some of the polls. Some of the polls had them below 40% in Saskatoon, and that's probably why, and we'll look at the seat shifts since the last election. It isn't a complete sweep right now for the NDP. They're up 7 seats in Saskatoon. The Sask Party is down 7 seats. The only seat that the Sask Party right now is leading in is Saskatoon Willow Grove. This was almost the exact playbook that the NDP had. They wanted to sweep Regina, try to sweep Saskatoon. Maybe Saskatoon, Willow Grove would be out of reach. But we've seen, as Adam was showing some of those results in Moose Jaw and Prince Albert, those smaller cities are what is going to end up deciding this election, I think, if it goes in the Sask Party favor. But Saskatoon and Regina have swung hard for the NDP, and you can see the NDP made all the gains that were reasonable to make in Saskatoon, but the Sask Party was able to hold them off, at least so far, in the rest of the province, and that's why.
CBC's Decision Desk has seen enough, yes, at 11:39 p.m., and we are ready to make a projection. CBC News projects Scott Moe and the Saskatchewan Party will form a majority government. A historic win, 5 consecutive Saskatchewan Party victories. Moe promised a strong economy, a bright future with a campaign that was based on affordability and tax cuts, and Saskatchewan voters took him up on those promises. Forming a 5th term, they've done something not seen since Tommy Douglas's Cooperative Commonwealth Federation or the CCF. Adam, it is a big night for Scott Moe, and they had to work for it tonight.
Yeah, Scott Moe sweating it out more than they had in the past, but this will be a very exciting night for Scott Moe and the Saskatchewan Party because, as we talked about 4 years ago, he was speaking to supporters in an empty room. It was COVID. It was a much different campaign. Be really interested to hear what Scott Moe has to say in Shelbrook, in his hometown. We look at a quiet room right now, but it'll fill up with supporters and with Scott Moe's family and friends a little bit later. I'm sure a huge sigh of relief for Scott Moe tonight as they waited that out. They'll be excited. You see some hugs there on the screen, and that'll be a similar story, I think, in Saskatoon at their headquarters. But they had to work for it tonight. The NDP put up a fight, but the Sask Party held its base, they held rural Saskatchewan, and most importantly, they held the NDP off in places like Martinsville, Moose Jaw, and Prince Albert, Sam.
There is 32 they're elected in now, leading in 2. So there are still seats to come. The numbers you're seeing on the bottom of your screen or that you're wondering about as you listen on the radio, 34 leading or elected for the Saskatchewan Party, 27 for the NDP, and we are projecting a Saskatchewan Party majority government. It's 20-12.
It's exciting.
Let's look at the share of the vote, and it is different from 4 years ago.
Yeah, this was 60-30 4 years ago, and it has been like that even more in the past. And we didn't see much of an impact from the other parties or the Saskatchewan United Party, as the panel mentioned. But the NDP is really had an efficient vote tonight because they only got about 40% of the vote at this point, but they're going to have more than half of the seats in the House. Sorry, they're going to have less than half, 45% of the seats, I should say. So they're doing really well. The magic number at the start of the night, the NDP needed, say it with me, 17. They got 13. The Saskatchewan Party could stand to lose 16. They were at this point, it's 13. So the NDP is close but no cigar. And close doesn't count in elections. You have to get over that. They had to get to 17. Didn't work tonight for them. Big night for the Saskatchewan Party. That 5th consecutive majority, pretty incredible.
And a second election for Scott Moe as leader as well, which I think is important to acknowledge.
Tonight, 28 days of campaigning.
Let's hit the campaign trail.
My name is Carla Beck, and I'm running to be your premier.
Hearing what matters to you.
Education and healthcare are pretty important to me.
We need money for our classrooms. There has to be change.
Life in Saskatchewan's great.
The NDP promising change.
It's time for change.
And the Saskatchewan Party running on its record.
Who will keep our economy strong and our future bright?
Along with new voices and ideas.
We bring new faces, we bring energy, and we bring fiscal responsibility.
The Saskatchewan Greens are ready to step up.
The people of this province are the greatest natural resource that we have.
We'll hold them accountable and ensure that they're transparent in all the things that they do.
Debating who deserves to lead.
It's no wonder you can't balance a budget, and it's no wonder that kids in our province are not getting the education that they need.
Under the NDP, there was also a job created every 30 minutes, but the challenge was it was in Alberta and our children had to move there to get that job.
They've made their pitch,
presented their platforms.
but whose promises will lead them to power?
They remember what the NDP was like, and we don't ever want to go back to those days of decline, loss, and closure.
Scott Moe and the Sask Party do not give a damn about working people in this province.
Who did you choose to lead our province for the next 4 years?
On October the 29th, I can't wait to hit the ground running and start delivering for people in this province. They deserve.
On Election Day in Saskatchewan, it is going to be a very, very good day for the Saskatchewan Party, and it is going to be a very good day for the great province of Saskatchewan.
Election 2024 coverage begins right now.
Good evening and welcome to our special coverage of Saskatchewan Election 2024. We're also welcoming viewers across Canada watching on CTV News Channel and online at ctvnews.ca.
Now, this campaign has been an interesting one, as polls have suggested we could see our tightest race in the last 20 years. This year, Élections Saskatchewan created a voting week, offering more days for people to cast their ballots prior to Election Day itself.
And a little more than 273,000 people decided to vote early, while more than 32,000 requested to vote by mail this year.
So the polls have just closed, and we are expecting to see results any time now. The vote count of all 61 constituencies will be shown on the right side of your screen tonight, while on the bottom is the number of constituencies a party is either leading or elected in.
We have team coverage for you throughout the province tonight, and unlike last election during the pandemic that saw small gatherings, this year large crowds are once again gathering. We'll start with Wayne Mantika, who is live in Shellbrook following Scott Moe and the Sask Party.
Wayne, the party's trying to win its 5th straight election, something that we haven't seen since the CCF in 1960s and 50s, late 40s. So what's the mood like there right now?
Right, Tommy Douglas was the last Saskatchewan premier to accomplish that. The mood here, I think, is quite quiet right now. The crowd is just starting to gather. They're optimistic, they're hopeful, but not.
All right, thank you, Morgan. And yes, we will be checking in with you throughout the night.
So here's a look at how the legislature looked at dissolution. The Saskatchewan Party had 42 seats, the NDP 14. There were 4 independent MLAs. Now, one of them is Nadine Wilson. While she did join the Sask United Party later on, the Speaker of the House recognized her as an independent, so that is what we are doing tonight. There is also one vacant seat that comes from Gordon Wyand, who resigned to become a candidate in the Saskatoon mayoral race. And with 61 constituencies, the magic number to form a majority government is 31.
Now, over the course of the campaign, the support for the NDP has grown, and now it's a really tight race, as we've been seeing. But of course, the polls, they're really just one way to analyze how things look heading into the election. But we know there's just so much more that goes into it.
Yes, CTV's Cole Davenport joins us from the CTV Power Board to kind of break down the deeper numbers for us tonight.
Absolutely. Well, the main number that you need to keep in mind over the course of the night as your votes are counted up is 31. That's the number required for the majority to form government with Saskatchewan's 61 legislative seats. Now, as we take a closer look at how that number comes together, these are our projections. This line here represents 31. If this election was a football game, this would be the end zone and a majority government would be the touchdown. Right now, our minimum projection for the Saskatchewan Party is sitting at about 24 seats with a maximum of 41. For the NDP, it's a minimum of 19 seats and a maximum of 36. So again, keep a close eye on this line. And as the night goes on, this is going to tighten up as more of your votes are counted. And these projections are based on a number of factors put together by our CTV election team, including everything from polling data to riding history to the candidates themselves, and a number of other factors go towards this. But again, keep in mind that this number is going to tighten until we can hit that number required for a majority with 31. So we'll keep an eye on that. But in terms of how we got here on the campaign trail, we'll take a little bit of a look back to see the campaign that was over the last 28 days.
Constituencies across the province, and we'll take a look at them right now, and that includes Prince Albert Northcote. Nicole Rancourt, a former MLA from 2016 to 2020, she lost to Alana Ross. She's trying to get her seat back tonight.
Yes, so it could be a very tight race. I know both candidates were out campaigning, sending videos, and doing what they could to get their word out. So be interesting race for sure. A rematch here in Lumsden Morse. The Sask United Party leader came in second in a by-election just a few months ago, and he really wants that seat, so we'll see how that goes.
One of the seats they're hoping that they might be able to get tonight. In Rosetown, Delisle, Jim Ryder, of course, he is a...
And Laura, we're talking, so far there's been no gains. They're just waiting for the results to come in, so...
Right, but we do have some results when it comes to elected, and not a shock. Usually the leaders you see win their seats unless there's something major change, and we do see Scott Moe has been declared re-elected in Rostern Shellbrook. So that is the first official elected for you tonight. Once again, not a shock. That's one of the 20 right now that Sask Party is elected or leading in. NDP too, and PC's actually leading in one riding right now.
All right, CTV also declaring Doug Steele re-elected in Cypress Hills, so heading back to the legislature for his party tonight and representing his constituents. What do you have for us now?
Well, now that we've started to see some results come in and some calls as well, we can take a look at the board with leading and elected. We have 21 for the Saskatchewan Party and 4 for the NDP so far. But keep in mind, again, that the rural constituencies are reporting first. So what we're seeing is a potential green mirage in areas of southern Saskatchewan, because we're looking at, like, Regina is not reporting any results currently. As we take a closer look at these urban areas of Saskatchewan, you can see them all over. As you can see, nothing to talk about here yet. We're not seeing any declared seats or any results coming in from Regina or in Saskatoon as we make our way up Highway 11. So we're still waiting on those urban results to come in, and those are going to play a large role in this potential seat changes that we're seeing. And right now we're seeing the Saskatchewan Party down 2. The NDP is up 3, and we'll keep a close eye on those results. Moving up into Athabasca, this was a seat that the Saskatchewan Party was able to win in a by-election a few years ago, and we're seeing the NDP looking to take that one back. They had held that for quite some time before that by-election, where often the turnout isn't quite the same as a general election. So looking again at leading and elected so far, 21 for the Saskatchewan Party and 4 for the NDP. But again, keep in mind that we're keeping a close eye on any results coming in from either Regina, Saskatoon, or one of Saskatchewan's other urban centres.
We're still waiting on a few ridings, constituencies rather, to report. But nonetheless, it's been an exciting night with quite a few re-elects and one upset. We've got leading and elected.
Well, that board's wrong. I'll tell you that right now. It's 35 to 26
there we go.
For Sask Party over NDP. Regina Northeast, Jacqueline Roy currently has a 161 vote lead on Rarul Singh. 9 of 11 stations reporting, so this one's still too close to call.
In Regina Pasqua, we knew this one would be a close one with a rematch, but so far, Bahan Brar has a 33 vote lead over Mohammed Fiaz. So that is one we are keeping track of throughout the evening for sure.
Meanwhile, Gene Mikowski still trailing in Regina University. 7 stations out of 10 reporting. Currently, Sally Hauser has a 376 vote lead. That's a decent lead with only 3 stations left.
Christine Tell also trailing in Regina Wascana Plains. This is one that we had mentioned also that we would be watching because it could turn either which way, and Brett Blakely is in the lead.
So in Saskatoon, we could see a potential seat change of an additional 6 for the NDP, all lost from the Sask Party. And more results. Saskatoon, Riversdale, 8 of 10 stations reporting. Kim Breckner has a close to 1,000 vote lead on the Sask Party candidate. Will be pretty close, I think, to calling that one, depending on what the next one says.
In Saskatoon, Stonebridge, again, one we've been keeping a close eye on. Bronwyn Ayre is trailing by just under 700 votes to Darcy Warrington.
For some of these close call constituencies, for more of those results and more of your votes to come in, that we would take a look at things a little bit differently. Before we get into that, though, here's the leading and elected just one more time. 34 and 27 for the Saskatchewan Party and the NDP at the moment. That's a potential seat change of -12 for the Saskatchewan Party and +13 for the NDP, gaining that independent seat as well. As we take a look at the power grid now, this is what we were looking at dissolution. So this is a bit of a different way to look at things. We've seen the large map, but this gives you an idea of how things look inside the legislature when that new government forms, whichever party that may be. We can see that the 30th legislature right now, or this was the 29th legislature, actually, I'm getting ahead of myself. This is the 30th legislature. So you can see quite a bit of a difference, particularly between the north and southern regions and
collectively have the opportunity to choose between the NDP, with their record of decline, loss, and closure, or you can choose a strong economy and a bright future with this party, your party, the Saskatchewan Party.
This campaign comes down to one question. Are you ready for change? You know, we're hearing from more and more people in every corner of this province that the answer to that question is yes.
Il est 20h en Saskatchewan. Les bureaux de vote viennent de fermer. La Saskatchewan a donc voté. Le coût de la vie, la santé, l'éducation étaient au cœur de cette campagne. Avez-vous voté pour la continuité avec un 5e mandat au Parti saskatchewanais? Ou bien est-il l'heure du changement, comme le réclame le NPD? Les partis marginaux auront-ils réussi à vous convaincre? Je m'appelle Zoé Klein et c'est ensemble, accompagné de toute une équipe, que nous allons avoir la réponse à ces questions ce soir. Mais d'abord, vous, Fransaskois, quels sont les enjeux qui vous tiennent à cœur?
Il faut garder notre français, il faut continuer nos activités culturelles pour nos jeunes, pour qu'ils sachent qu'est-ce que c'est être fransaskois.
Le prochain parti élu en Saskatchewan, j'aimerais bien qu'ils font un peu plus attention à l'industrie de l'agriculture, car on est très important, on est un gros engin économique de la province.
J'attirerai vraiment l'attention de nos dirigeants élus à œuvrer pour que les personnes qui parlent français, les fransaskois, puissent être davantage servis dans leur langue.
Aux réunions gouvernementales, d'écouter aux représentants qui étaient en train de dire, tu sais, on veut aider les enseignants, notre première priorité, c'est le succès de nos élèves, puis de leur action, c'était complètement l'opposé.
J'espère juste qu'il y aura un gouvernement qui valorise les fransaskois et le secteur de l'enseignement beaucoup plus.
C'est leur futur. C'est que les gens font aujourd'hui affecte beaucoup qu'est-ce qui va être du futur. C'est très important qu'ils donnent leurs opinions, qu'ils s'impliquent dans les résultats.
Merci de choisir Radio-Canada ce soir. C'est une soirée exceptionnelle que nous allons vivre ensemble. Une émission à l'échelle du pays et à la radio également. Si vous nous suivez sur un écran, regardez en bas, il y a un bandeau qui indique le nombre de circonscriptions en tête par parti. Vous y verrez aussi le nombre de circonscriptions dans lesquelles il y a des résultats, en alternance avec le chiffre de la majorité. Ce chiffre de la majorité, ce 31, c'est le chiffre à retenir pour tout comprendre ce soir. Parce que 31, c'est le nombre de députés qu'un parti doit réussir à faire élire pour former un gouvernement majoritaire. À la dissolution, le Parti saskatchewanais possédait 42 sièges à la législature. Le NPD, qui grappille des sièges depuis les 3 dernières élections, en avait 14. On comptait 4 indépendants, dont un pour le Parti uni de la Saskatchewan, et un siège vacant. Il y a 2 visages que l'on surveille de près ce soir, 2 visages que vous connaissez bien si vous vivez en Saskatchewan.
Scott Moe et Carla Beck. Scott Moe, chef du Parti saskatchewanais depuis 2018, c'est sa deuxième élection en tant que Premier ministre de la Saskatchewan. Aura-t-il réussi à convaincre cette fois encore? Carla Beck, élue à la tête du NPD de la Saskatchewan depuis 2022, première chef à la tête de ce parti. Les néo-démocrates regagnent lentement des sièges depuis qu'ils ont perdu le pouvoir en 2007. Alors pour la première fois de son histoire, aura-t-on une femme à la tête de la Saskatchewan? Et je ne suis pas seule ce soir. Parmi la nombreuse équipe qui m'accompagne, il y a notamment Vincent Pichard. Vincent, c'est vous qui allez nous livrer les résultats au fur et à mesure qu'ils arrivent. Supplémentaire pour le dépouillage de ces urnes-là, ce qui explique, malgré tous les efforts d'Élections Saskatchewan, peut-être que nous n'avons pas encore de résultats pour les zones urbaines en ce moment. Mais nous avons des élus dans d'autres circonscriptions, notamment à Kindersley-Biggar, où Kim Gardner du Parti saskatchewanais a été réélu. C'est une circonscription qui est un peu plus petite qu'avant. Kim Gardner, donc, qui a été élu, c'était un nouveau candidat pour le Parti saskatchewanais. 977 voix, 836 voix d'avance sur Cindy Hope pour le nouveau Parti démocratique de la Saskatchewan. D'autres résultats aussi qui arrivent. Le ministre sortant de l'Énergie et des Ressources, Jim Reiter, pour Roston-de-Lisle, qui est en avance de 375 voix sur Brenda Edel, qui n'en a que 55 pour l'instant.
À Saskatchewan Rivers, c'est Doug Racine qui prend la tête sur Eric Schmaltz. Nous avons les résultats de 5 bureaux de vote sur un total de 34. Et justement, Doug Racine a une avance de 33 voix sur le candidat du Parti saskatchewanais. À Wood River, c'est le ministre sortant de l'Agriculture qui prend la tête, David Merritt, sur le néo-démocrate Mike Topola. Il a 362 voix d'écart sur le candidat, donc néo-démocrate. Et nous avons les résultats de 6 bureaux de vote sur un total de 42. Allez, noter que c'est Wood River, c'est là où se trouve Gravelbourg-Pontex. Dans Humboldt-Redruth, on en parlait en début d'émission, là où a été élue à plusieurs reprises Donna Power, mais qui cette fois-ci ne se représente pas, eh bien, elle est en bonne voie de passer la main à la candidate du Parti saskatchewanais, Rachel Hilbert, qui prend la tête, une légère tête, puisque seulement 112 voix d'écart pour l'instant sur le néo-démocrate Kevin Falls, mais nous avons les résultats de 2 bureaux de vote seulement.
Voici donc où nous en sommes pour ce soir à 21h19 heure de la Saskatchewan. Nous avons 10 élus pour le Parti saskatchewanais, 13 autres qui sont en tête pour un total, si la tendance se maintient, de 23. 0 élus à l'heure actuelle pour le nouveau Parti démocratique de la Saskatchewan. 3 si la tendance se maintient qui seraient en tête dans les circonscriptions. Et concernant le vote populaire, eh bien là, on voit une écrasante majorité pour le Parti saskatchewanais, avec 66% des voix populaires, 24% des voix pour le NPD. Et ce 7% que vous voyez, eh bien, c'est pour le Parti uni de la Saskatchewan. Le Parti uni de la Saskatchewan qui est un...
Surprise, il nous manquait les résultats dans cette circonscription régionale Lakeview, celle de Carla Beck. Eh bien, Carla Beck prend le devant sur Sarah Wright. Elle a une avance pour l'instant de 328 voix sur la candidate Sarah Wright. Mais attention, on a seulement le résultat d'un seul bureau de vote alors que cette circonscription en compte 10. Regardez la carte de Regina. Elle est quand même assez flagrante puisque... elle comporte 12 circonscriptions. Eh bien, les 12 sont à l'orange. Donc, à l'heure actuelle, attention, il y a des résultats qui sont sûrs avec des réélections, mais il y a des résultats qui restent à confirmer. Donc, à l'heure actuelle, ce serait un véritable balayage. Toutes les circonscriptions de Regina seraient acquises au NPD, ce qui correspond à une perte pour le Parti saskatchewanais, puisque si on compare avec la carte de 2023, regardez, il y avait 5 circonscriptions à Regina qui étaient entre les mains du Parti saskatchewanais. Eh bien, désormais, à Regina, en 2024, à l'heure actuelle, en sachant que ça peut encore une fois évoluer, eh bien, plus aucune circonscription ne serait détenue par un candidat du Parti saskatchewanais. Si on se rend maintenant du côté de Saskatoon, c'est un peu la même tendance, ce n'est pas aussi flagrant. Il y a aussi des résultats qui nous tombent de Saskatoon, notamment Saskatoon-Westview, où April Chief-Calf a une avance de 23 voix sur le député sortant pour le parti saskatchewanais, David Buckingham. Mais attention, on est seulement à la moitié du dépouillement dans cette circonscription. Même chose pour Saskatoon-Stonebridge. Encore une fois, Darry Warrington creuse l'écart avec la ministre sortante de la Justice et procureur général Bronwyn Eyre. À noter que Bronwyn Eyre est la seule ministre francophone du gouvernement de Scott Moe à l'heure actuelle, ou du moins au moment de la dissolution de l'Assemblée législative. On poursuit avec des résultats à Saskatoon Sud-Est. Là encore, la candidate Brittany Singer pour le NPD prend la devance sur le parti saskatchewanais, 93 voix d'écart, mais seulement 5 bureaux de vote sont en mesure de transmettre leurs résultats. On attend donc les résultats pour 6 autres bureaux de vote. Des résultats encore à Saskatoon pour Silver Spring, cette fois-ci la circonscription de Saskatoon-Silver Spring. Le candidat du NPD, Hugh Gordon, a 36 voix d'écart sur Paul Merriman, le ministre sortant des services correctionnels, services de police et sécurité publique. Alors que tout à l'heure, Paul Merriman, un peu plus tôt dans le courant de l'émission, eh bien, il était en tête. Là, on voit que ça évolue et pour cause. 6 bureaux de vote nous ont transmis leurs résultats, donc ça reste encore à confirmer. Ça peut encore basculer d'un côté ou, comme de l'autre, à suivre.
C'est une diminution de...
Il est 23h38 en Saskatchewan. Si la tendance se maintient, Radio-Canada prévoit que le Parti saskatchewanais formera le prochain gouvernement. Il s'agira d'un gouvernement majoritaire. Je répète, Radio-Canada prévoit que si la tendance se maintient, nous aurons un gouvernement majoritaire en Saskatchewan qui sera formé par le Parti saskatchewanais. Et on va partir de suite donc sur place. Nous sommes à Shalbrook où se trouve le chef du parti saskatchewanais, Scott Moe. Nous ne sommes pas à Shalbrook, nous sommes à Saskatoon où se trouve le deuxième rassemblement du parti saskatchewanais. Nous voici à présent à Shalbrook. On voit finalement que c'est un peu la même ambiance calme pour l'instant. Il n'y a pas de grande explosion de joie. On va avoir Scott Moe qui va arriver plus tard dans la soirée, peut-être dans quelques instants, peut-être un peu plus tard, pour faire son discours. Donc ce sera sur cette scène que vous voyez à l'instant.
Calme est le mot, n'est-ce pas? C'est pas l'allégresse dans ces instances-là.
Effectivement, je ne sais pas si vous avez entendu Monsieur Kenny qui est avec moi, qui dit que bien c'est pas l'allégresse pour l'instant dans ces lieux de rassemblement-là. Monsieur Kenny, comment vous l'expliquez d'ailleurs ce manque d'allégresse?
C'est parce que c'était une victoire avec un goût plutôt amer.
We have a plan for a strong economy and a plan for a brighter future.
Saskatchewan should not be in last place, but that's where Scott Moe and the Sask Party have taken us.
The leaders embarking on a 27-day journey, pitching their vision and rallying their supporters.
This is your party and these are your candidates.
With legacies on the line, every vote counts. The fight for the province's future, now in your hands.
This election is about Team Saskatchewan.
This is Decision Saskatchewan. Good evening and welcome to Decision Saskatchewan. I'm Lisa Dutton, joined by Brendan Purdy. The polls are closed and now we wait.
We'll be with you all evening as we find out who will form Saskatchewan's next government. Now, over these next few hours, we'll be breaking down the numbers for you, and you can follow along on your screen.
The numbers at the bottom will tell you how many candidates are leading or elected for each party. And remember, that magical number to form a majority is 31. We'll go through ridings across the province throughout the night, but if you miss anything, you can catch it on the right-hand side of your screen as it rotates through all night.
Our team of reporters will be joining us from party headquarters across our province, bringing us the latest as tonight unfolds.
Gates Guarin is in Shellbrook, where Sask Party leader Scott Moe will be later tonight. Our Catherine Ledwig is in Regina with NDP leader Carla Beck.
At the city-based headquarters in Regina and Saskatoon, we have Nicole Healy, Mackenzie Mazinkowski, and Sarah Jones.
Global News Chief Political Correspondent David Aiken is also with us at the Results Center. David, show us how you're helping to break things down tonight.
Well, I've got this really cool tool, this touchscreen behind me that just gives you a visual representation of what's happening. Right now behind me, what I've got on the board is the 2020 election. This is where we were 4 years ago when the Sask Party, all that Sask Party green, won a majority government. The NDP on our map, of course, those are orange ridings. So that's what it looked like in 2020. We go now to 2024. There's no color here. It's a gray map. We don't have any results yet. One note, no one will have results faster than we will. We have a direct data pipeline to Élections Saskatchewan. They're counting things up right now. And the minute we have a result, you'll start to see things on the ticker below you, and you're going to see some color on the map here. One big wrinkle for tonight, we have a lot of new riding boundaries, some new riding names. You're going to get familiar with those as we go through the night. So we will be keeping an eye on Roster and Shellbrook. Of course, that's where the incumbent Premier Scott Moe is running. And we're going to keep an eye on down in Regina, on Regina Lakeview. That's where Carla Beck, the first-time NDP leader, is running. So all that to come. We're looking for the results. We'll have them first, don't worry. But right now, Lisa.
As we await this evening's results, let's go back and see how we got to this point. Of the 61 seats in the Saskatchewan legislature at the time of dissolution, the Saskatchewan Party held the lion's share, 42 seats. The opposition, NDP, 14 seats. 4 seats were filled by independents and 1 seat was vacant. Well, now the slate has been wiped clean and the race for a majority of 31 seats begins. Now that you know what's at stake, let's meet the players. Scott Moe is looking to extend his time as Premier after the Saskatchewan Party won a 4th straight majority government just 4 years ago.
Thank you so very much for the trust that you've placed in us.
Fast forward to the writ drop. His campaign is running on a platform centered around affordability and the economy.
It's part of our plan for a strong economy and a bright future. Thank you very much, everybody.
If Moe is elected once again, the makeup of his party will look drastically different, with 5 high-profile veteran ministers bowing out. Will his plan be enough to secure a majority? Let's look at his opponent. Carla Beck is hoping to upset the incumbent Sask Party as leader of the provincial New Democrats. A member of the legislature since 2016, Beck took over as leader in 2022 after Ryan Miley stepped down.
I'm excited and very eager to do the work that's in front of us.
Now her platform has been based on investing in both healthcare and education.
Saskatchewan, it's time for change.
But will her promises be enough to give her party a provincial mandate and make her the first female premier of the province? The stage has been set, the polls have closed, and the counting is underway. Did the NDP's calls for change resonate with Saskatchewan voters? Or will the Saskatchewan Party's political dynasty continue its reign with a 5th straight majority? Saskatchewan, the choice is yours.
He has been working with us through the entire election campaign, and tonight, political analyst Ken Coates joins our team to help shed some light on the results.
Ken, we're so happy to have you on board. What are you going to be watching for as results start to come in?
3 things. Everybody expects it to be tight. This is not going to be a runaway in either direction. I don't think anybody anticipates that. Second thing, watch for the turnout. How many people are actually showing up to vote? Whether a lot of people show up to vote, it makes a very different.
All right, thank you. David Aiken's going to focus on a handful of ridings to the west now.
Yeah, I mean, just to keep running through them, that's the story we're given is the one we got to tell. And right now we only have 8 ridings reporting some results and still very early. But let's take a minute and we'll just sort of on the western half of the province, well, starting up in that western half, that's Athabasca, a traditional NDP territory. Leroy La Liberté, 96 votes for the NDP. Jim LeMaig, 63 votes. So it's still early, but you'd obviously want to be leading. 4 polls there of 31 reporting. So that's Athabasca. Right below that, in Lloyd, Colleen Young, she's the advanced education minister. She's got a 62 votes now to 8 for Adam Tremblay. Adam Tremblay is a teacher. I told you there's 14 of them on the ballot here. One of those is Adam. So that's Lloyd for you. Then we'll cut in, that's Roster and Shelbrook. And of course, we've heard Scott Moe is ahead in that riding. Also, don't forget Saskatchewan United Party. That's SUP. If you see SUP on your screen, Saskatchewan United Party, we might call it United or SUP. Nobody's calling it SUP at this point in time, but I'm sure that one day may happen. We're going to see if this is a factor, whether or not the SUP, who in United Party. And when the legislature dissolved, the SUP actually had an MLA, and it was right here. It was Nadine Wilson. There she is, Nadine Wilson. Sorry, other is the PC party. We have blue for PC and blue for SUP. I'm a little surprised. Okay, so let's talk about this. The progressive conservatives apparently are still around here in Saskatchewan. I don't think this is going to last very long. But there you go. Bernard Lalonde has 16 votes. Congratulations, Bernard. Eric Schmaltz is a Sask Party candidate. He's got 14. And there's Nadine Wilson. She is the incumbent. And let's just talk about her story for a little bit. So she gets elected 4 years ago as a Sask Party MLA. Then when we go through the whole pandemic and COVID and vaccine mandates, there's some issues around whether or not she was upfront about vaccines for herself. So she ends up outside the Sask Party caucus, is upset about things, and she and a bunch of people formed the Saskatchewan United Party. She was briefly the leader of that party. She is no longer the leader, John Romick is, but there she is. She's got 7 votes up there, and I think this is one of those places where could we see things really splitting on the right between Sask and exactly.
Well, let's take a look at our leading and elected board to help you make sense of these numbers tonight.
So nobody elected as of yet, as we can see right there. The biggest poll percentage that I've seen close so far is in Kindersley Biggar, where Kim Gartner, a CAO with the town of Maplin for over 30 years, has an 836 vote lead. But nothing really coming in, and as you alluded to, David, we could be in for quite a long night.
Yeah, and most of the leading or
David, thank you. In Roster and Shelbrook, Sask Party leader Scott Moe has been elected there. But Brendan, we want to talk about these numbers. This is 20 out of 38 polls reporting. Scott Moe was elected right now, we're seeing, with 61% of the vote. We want to mention, since 2011, he's been elected with a minimum of 65% of the vote. In 2020, he was elected with 79% of the vote. So this does speak to the popularity of Scott Moe in his own riding.
This is a massive drop, Lisa. And really quickly, Ken, I know we were talking about the positivity of Mark Thunderchild and what he could mean for the NDP, but what are the voters in that riding saying to Scott Moe?
Well, they're saying we're getting tired. You've been there for a long time. And as a premier doesn't spend a lot of time in their own constituency, right? So sometimes you get constituencies saying, well, you're taking us for granted. Quite frankly, 61% is a huge return. Almost.
All right, David, thank you. We're going to take a look at the riding of Regina now. Regina University, correct? Yeah, there we go.
Jump over. There it is right there. So we just saw that tie. Hugh Gordon now jumping for the NDP. And look at Regina University. Right.
I don't think you're going to find a more well-known Sask Party candidate in Regina than Jean Mikowski.
Hey, Tyler, has any other network called this election?
I'm trying to get the words out. And the incumbent, the Social Services Minister, Jean Mikowski, obviously well known as being a Saskatchewan Rough Rider, trailing Sally Hauser with 7 of 10 reporting. As we take a look at the popular vote, and look at Regina, 56% for the NDP, 38.1 for the Sask Party, and that's becoming true. And again in Saskatoon, 55.8 to 40.7, as we're seeing those city centers becoming more orange and more orange and more orange, but in the rest of Saskatchewan, and we've been talking about the division politically in our province that we're seeing unfold tonight, Ken, 63.6% of the popular vote in Saskatchewan belonging to the Sask Party. We're holding everything up, folks at home, if you're wondering why we're stretching later and later into the night.
And Brendan, with that, we have some breaking news. Global News is projecting a majority Saskatchewan Party government. Majority government for the Saskatchewan Party.
Well, I guess that was pretty good timing there. So I guess I was a little behind there, and some of those numbers came through. So there we have it.
And it only took until 11:40. There you have it, folks. We are going to take you down now to, I believe, Gates Warren. Yes, in Shellbrook, the rink. Scott Moe, he's there.